Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me? If I could have a show of hands in the chat or the Q&A, if you can hear me, please let me know. Yes, says Mandy. Okay, thank you, Mandy. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a new thing for me. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with these webinars. I am going to be running these webinars every other Wednesday. Now, next Wednesday is Christmas, and the Wednesday after that is New Year's. So I'm not going to run them then. I'm going to be running my next webinar on January the 8th. That's going to be the one that I actually did last week, kind of an introductory to converting from ACT to Zoho. So I'll be running that one again on the 8th. The next one, the informational one, is going to be on the 22nd, and I'm going to try to cover layouts and canvases, and if we have time, maybe get over to creating templates. I want to try to keep these webinars. I know your time is valuable. My time is valuable. So I'm going to try to keep these webinars down to approximately half an hour. And I'm going to be basing the subject on these webinars with to the questions that I get during the week. So this week, I got a lot of questions. I just moving around Zoho, and that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to share my screen. And I do apologize if my internet is a little bit slow, because I am actually in the Colorado mountains, and there's a little bit of snow going on, and the connectivity is not the greatest. So could everybody see my screen now? You should be seeing me there with some books. Has everybody seen that screen? If you just let me know in the chat that you could see my screen, that would be great. Yes, again, Mandy is right on the ball, and I so appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to show a sample of a Zoho database, and I'm just going to go through some really quick questions. You know what? I'm going to try to get the little chat window on another window. So I've got a lot of screens going on here. And like I said, I don't have a PowerPoint that I'm using today. So if you do have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll try to pause from time to time to get back to your questions. Like I said, I got a lot of windows going on here. Okay, so first thing I want to go over is just the general look and feel of Zoho. We start out by seeing the dashboard. This dashboard is completely customizable. I'm not going to show you how to customize it today, but what you're seeing, this is basically the home dashboard. You're seeing like today's meetings, you're seeing open tasks, today's leads, and your opportunities. You could ignore this, or you could expand on it. You could make it your own. So this is, kind of a nice way of being able to go into Zoho and see what's going on for today. And it kind of gives you a little summary up there, how many calls you have today. You can click on it, get right to those calls, maybe untouched deals. Any part of this can be customized. So one of the other things I'd like you to notice is I'm in something called Chrome incognito mode. I don't know if you all know what incognito is. It's in fact, I've heard a good tip. If you're ever looking for airline reservations, they tell you to go into incognito mode. If you go into, if you're in Chrome, if you use the Chrome browser and you go to hit a new tab, you can go into a new incognito window. And that's something that's not really tracked. The reason that's kind of nice is that allows me to actually look at two parts of my database at the same time, or it allows me to look at two different databases at the same time. So I've actually got my real database open, but I've also got that demo open. So it's kind of a nice thing. I have some of my customers have reports open in one window and something else open in another. So we can, flip back and forth very easily. Okay, so one of the things people have, they need help Well, believe it or not, you are answering your own question. The best place to look for help is probably on your profile picture. This is where the profile picture is supposed to be. Probably most of you haven't gone in there yet and stuck your picture there. But if you click on that profile picture, this is where you're going to find some really good help. Now, a lot of you that are on this call are in a Zoho trial. You're in trial mode. You haven't started paying for it yet. That's okay. You still get support. It doesn't mean they won't give you support even if you're in trial mode. But if you click on your little portfolio picture, or where your picture is supposed to be, you could chat with us. I find that's the quickest way to get support is through the chat. You can talk with us. If you click on talk with us, it's going to give you the phone numbers to call. Obviously, most of us are in the USA, so you'd be using that number. Also gives you, you couldn't get anywhere. Well, they make it pretty easy to find that number right up there. You can write to them. I find that they don't normally write back for a couple of days, but you can send an email if you really want to do a lot of screenshots and do a lot of fancy stuff. I find personally it's a little bit slower, but you can try and see if you get anywhere there. You take a tour, and they have these resources, and the resources are videos. And by the way, not only are there videos that Zoho has made, but there are a ton of videos on YouTube. When you're trying to do it Zoho, you'll probably find it. They have links to documentation. Some of you are very old and like me, and you remember buying software, and you had this really nice user manual. It might have been 400 pages. I still have some of mine from Act 2 and Act 3. And I'm going to see if maybe the Smithsonian might want them. I don't know. In this day and age, software changes so quickly that it's hard. Even like the dummies books, they're not doing dummies books anymore. It takes too long to get a book out to the market. By that time, the software has changed. So we do have documentation you can go into. We have training. Depending on where you live, there are users groups, there are meetup groups for Zoho. They often offer training, like where I am in my area. They have them in Miami, they have them in Philadelphia, they have them in New York, they have them in Denver. So you could sign up for training in your city. And if they're coming by, they'll let you know. Some of them are free, some of them, charge. They do a great one on Zoho administration. So there are live things. We have a very active Zoho community. I mean, people are in there posting questions all the time. Sometimes other users will answer questions. Sometimes there's Facebook groups, there's LinkedIn groups. A lot of times Zoho monitors them. We used to have a very active community in ACT. I can say they took it down a number of years ago because there were so many complaints and criticisms of the product. So they just did away with the community boards. But Zoho doesn't seem to mind. If somebody gets in there and rants about something, they'll answer the questions anyway. So it's, they're pretty good about support. So these are ways that you can learn more about the product. And I like the fact that it's all built in and easy to see. So I always just tell people, click on your profile picture. Okay, first question is people go in and they go, oh my God, this is so confusing. I don't know where to start. Oh, I need ACT. I can't move. This is terrible. And one of the things to notice is these things go along the horizontally along the top of your screen. These are the same things, but the same basic things that you have going down your nav bar on the left side of ACT. And some of you, quite frankly, you may not want to use leads. You say, you know what? I have contacts. That's all I want. Don't need to worry about deals. I work with contacts. I don't need to work with businesses or accounts. And reports, what's a report? I don't need to work with reports. That's not up to me. And wait, quotes? No, I don't want to use any of that stuff. So you want to make it your own. So this is how you can change any of this up here. We could go into this gear. The gear is like the heart of everything that you're going to change in Zoho. So you can hit that gear shift, and we can go to modules and fields. And if you just remember that gear shift, modules, and fields, this is probably 90% of the customization that most of you will do. We can make a tab group. And I'm going to make a new tab group. I'm going to call it, everybody know what KISS is? It's not only rock group, but keep it simple, stupid. So I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want to see leads. I don't use that. I want to see contacts. I don't want to see accounts. I don't deal with that. I don't use, well, maybe I put in deals just so I have something in there. Let's see what other trouble. And you know what? I'd like to see the emails that I'm receiving in and out of Zoho. And I'd like to see my calls, my meetings, and my tasks. And notice that Zoho does call it tasks instead of to-dos. If you want to rename that, we can. So I'm just going to save that. And now when I go up here, it's going to be a choice of different tabs. So I'm going to go to the KISS tab, and you've now made it much, much easier to look at. Now, in the same exact way, when I look at contacts, I could look at contacts in a number of ways. This is not my favorite. This is called a canvas view of the contacts. Some people like this. And if you like that, that's fine. I like it a little simpler. So I go over here and I change it to a list view. I don't care which one you use. It's what matters is what one feels good to you. Now, this is a list view, just like our contact list. In ACT, we haven't changed anything. If you know the contact list, we could go and we could right click on the contact list, and we can add fields or remove fields. The nasty thing, the thing I hated about that is once I added fields, I had to hit that move up button 6, 7, 8, 9 times to get fields to move up. For my contact list, go over here, manage columns. So instead of customize columns, it says manage columns. I could do a drag and drop. So maybe if I have the contact name, I don't really need to see the first and the last name. But let's see, I want to see if they have some email addresses. So I'm going to type an email. I could search if I wanted through that whole list, but I'm lazy. I don't want to search that whole list. So I'm just going to put secondary email. Now I've added that field. You can add whatever fields you want. And again, if you want to change the order, just go back to manage columns, drag and drop them. So let's see, emails there. I want it down here. You can drag it. And if you prefer to do drop down, slip and slide, you can find whatever whatever field you want to add. Just click it, and once you hit save, there it is. So that's a good way to customize things. Now, another customization is I'm going to go into a contact. So I'm going to look at Chris Marier, and here's Chris, and again, confusing. Oh my God, what is this, Karen? I don't know, sales orders and quotes and products. Oh, this is horrible. I can't do this, Karen. I can't do this, Karen. It's too complicated. Well, again, make it your own. You can go up here to the related list, and they call this a hamburger. It's these little arrows over here that says organize contact deals. So I can click that. Same thing I did before. You know what? I'm not using cases. I'm going to get rid of that. I don't need sales orders. I'm not using that. I'm not using purchase orders. Oh, what else? I don't know what cadences is. I'm not going to use that. I don't use deals. I'm not going to use that. I want notes. That sounds good. But, you know, let's say attachments. Yeah, this sounds pretty good. Oh, products. Let's get rid of that. And you make it your own. Get rid of things that you don't want. And then go back here and save it. And that list has been shortened to just the things that you want. You want to get them back, just add to related list. And these can be done on a user by user basis. If you have a lot of people in your company, and some people, like I hear from a lot of administrators that they want to keep everything there. So it reminds them of what Zoho has. So this kind of works in two ways. Some administrators will notice that there's things on that list, and they'll say, oh, yeah, Karen, what does cadence mean? well, what's this bit about the invoicing? Other people will just reach out to me and go, oh, Karen, does Zoho do invoicing? Does Zoho do this? And they've turned it off. They don't know. And that's fine. I just tell them how to turn it back on. So that's how you could change that. Now, anybody that signed up for one of my trials, I have a very specific way. I tell you to sign up, and then I tell you to send me those details, and then I tell you I'm going to work my magic. What my magic is, if you scroll all the way down to your contact, and again, you can look at any contact you want. I'm looking at Chris Barrier, however he pronounces his name. Go all the way down to the bottom. We have standard views. And I gave you guys, all my clients, because I know you love your ACT canvases, you love your ACT layouts, and you're very sad that Zoho doesn't look exactly like ACT. Well, I created one that I called Contact Canvas. And when we go to Contact Canvas, I'm still in Zoho. I haven't changed anything. But you notice that it now looks very familiar. It looks just like ACT. Oh my, Karen, this got better. So we can go through I made it open activities and closed activities. If you really want, we can change this into one activity where you see closed and open next to each other. I have your opportunities, just like an ACT. I can get rid of that. We have our notes. So everything that you had in ACT, and then I put some of the common things that you'll probably do. I want to clone this contact and just change it a little bit. Maybe I want to send them an email. Maybe I want to delete this contact or edit this contact. Put all those little buttons up there along with this ellipsis. Now, ACT is 40 years old. That's old. And I think in computer years, 40 years old is probably like 1,000 years. They haven't changed those layouts in years upon years upon years. Maybe they'll change a font. Maybe they'll change a background color. If you love a 40-year-old layout, I gave it to you. No judgment. That's up to you. But you might also consider doing something a little bit newer, a little bit more 21st century. And that's something like this. Same thing. I just made it look a little perkier, a little newer. I added little sections. I put the things across the middle here, put the buttons up at the top. The sky is the limit. And these layouts that I sent to you are fully 100,000% customizable. So you can change the fields, you can add fields, you can do whatever your little hearts want to do. All right, just seeing if I have any questions yet. Okay, so the other thing, just pull my notes back up again. The other way that you might want to be looking at this is just what we call a standard view. If some people have come from the Salesforce environment, they're used to seeing things in a different way. Again, we could scroll down and we could go into the standard out of the box view. And if you go to the standard out of the box view, this can all be moved. It can all be changed. It can be modified. If cool thing that Zoho does is it lets you pick 5 of your most important fields. So anytime you go to contact, you're going to see the 5 most important fields up at the top. Some people like to hide details so that they're not seeing as much stuff. The sky is the limit as far as what we can change. I want to show you a little trick. Some of my customers don't call contacts contacts. They're all clients. Or maybe they're hospitals. They're all patients. Virtually anything in Zoho can be changed. Again, I hit the gear shift. I went to customization, went to modules and fields. I am just going to rename. I just went over here to contacts and I hit rename. Really tough. And instead of calling it contacts, I'm going to call it clients. And the singular form of that is client. This was always kind of a problem with tabs in ACT, because if you created fields, you never knew if you should be using the singular or the plural, and it got kind of confusing. So you have one client, but you're looking at a list of clients. So I saved it. And gee, holy guacamole, I just changed that. Now you could do that in ACT. You could change the tabs in ACT, but you had to buy an add-on product. You could do a lot of things in ACT. if you bought an add-on product. And those add-on products really added up. I guess that's why they call it add-on products, because it adds to the cost. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is how we're going to find contacts, because that's, after all, probably the most important thing that you want to do in any software. The best way, the simply best way to find something is to go up here to this little search bar. People get really confused. They get really cranky and angry with me. They go over here and they try to search by Karen Fredericks, and they don't find anything. And then they go, none of my contacts are in here. I just put Karen in there and it's not in there. And Zoho sucks and Zoho stinks. Well, that's because you don't search by a contact over here. This is a filter. This is like your groups or a query or a lookup. We go over here to find somebody. So I'm going to look for, I don't remember his name, but I think it was James. So I'm going to look for James. And it's going to look all through there. Oh, I have a lead by the names of James Merced. I have a client by the name of James Veneer. I have a deal, something to do with Schimmel. Not sure what that is. I had a meeting that had to do with the James. So this is the one that I wanted. So that's the easiest way to search for a person, is to go up here and do a search. Now I'm going to go back to my clients. And we're going to explain what these are. These are your lookups. In ACT, you went up to the top and you said lookup. And you could look up by ID status. You could look up by company name. You could look up by anything you wanted. So let's say I was looking for all the people that are in the company King. I could go over here. I could search for by account. And I could say, oh, okay, I want to find anybody, the account name contains King. I'm just going to type in anything, and I'm going to apply that filter. And now anybody that belonged to that company would be under this list. A couple other things that are kind of cool is, and by the way, if I'm tired of looking at this, and remember in ACT, you could go back to look up all contacts. You can go over here, and by the way, you can save these filters if you want. So if there's a filter that you're using a lot, like you're constantly going and finding everybody that works for King, or everybody that's in New Jersey, or anybody that's in Minnesota, you could do that very easily. I'm just going to clear that filter. We also have saved views. These are like dynamic groups on steroids. So out of the box, they give you all kinds of views. They give you recently created clients. And notice all my terminology. When I change this from contact to clients, all my terminology and my reports, my lookups, everywhere that I go, it changed that terminology. But I can go in here and I can find the contacts that are new this week, or that were new last week, or recently modified contacts, or recently created contacts, or I can make my own custom view. So custom view is built, it's based on two different components. One component is a query. So when we went into a dynamic group, we had a query. So we could query on any of our little fields. So I might want to find anybody that's in Illinois, or anybody that's in Illinois or Michigan or Ohio. But the other cool part is when I make that view, and I can call the view whatever I want. I'm always very original when I do this stuff. You could go in here, you can have whatever criteria you want, but you could also have whatever fields you want. Well, I need to have this field show, and this field show, and this field show. So I'm not sure what a good criteria is here. Let's just say the client owner, and I have a big choice of me. So here's my special little query, looking for anybody that I am the record manager of, or the record owner of, and I want to see these three fields, or these 6 fields. I'm going to save it. Now when I go up to my special view, there I am, and you notice it saved those fields. So when you have a lookup, it always took you to your contact list. But then a lot of times you had to customize the list. Yes, there was a cool add-on that you could use. It would save your custom your contact lists, but you had to buy an add-on. This is included as part of Zoho. Okay. Let me see. I think I have some questions here. Give me a second to look at them. Nope. Okay, someone's asking me if I'm recording this. I'm not recording these meetings. These are open meetings. People sometimes, I'm hoping that you'll ask me specific questions, maybe about your business. I don't want that going out to the rest of the world. Should it be a private question? So I'm not recording these webinars. But like I said, be running them a lot. If you have a question on anything in Zoho, just feel free to reach out. Okay, questions that I'm getting. How do I add a note? How do I add a meeting? Well, that's tough. Let's see. I'm going to go over here to Chris again because he seems to be my guinea pig for the day. And let's see. I want to add a note. I wonder, let's see, I can go down here and it says add a note. And I wonder if I could just start typing. Well, that worked. So that's one way I can add a note. I also noticed that up here, I've got a bunch of different notes. What happens if I hit this plus sign? Question mark. Oops. So I put another note. Now, some people are saying, well, the date's not there, Karen, the date's not there. The date will be there tomorrow. Right now, it was just created. The way it works is you will see the date and time tomorrow. It takes a little, I'm not sure why it does that. It doesn't give you today's date. And that date, by the way, cannot be changed. If you put in a note on a certain date, you can delete that note, but you can't change the date. That's kind of set in stone. Now, in ACT, we were able to add all kinds of formatting. We could bold, we could use yellow, we could use purple. The problem is those notes got corrupted. A lot of you went from Act 22 to Act 24, and then you called me because you had gaps in the notes and you had junk in the notes and your notes were illegible. That's because Act allowed you to put that formatting in. It's just not a great idea to put formatting into notes into a back-end table. It causes a lot of problems. Zoho will not let you do bolding or yellow or different colors. But what Zoho does let you do when you add a note is you can put in a title. So a lot of times I add a title to my notes and I'll say, I'll put in a note like that, so that when I look through my notes, I'll notice that one of them kind of hops out, jumps out as I put in notes. That's how we put in notes. Now, how do we add activities? Well, we have open activities over here, and we have open activities here. So I could go to add new, or I could go up to my open activities here, and I get the plus sign. Either way, you also could we do have a calendar. You get to your calendar by clicking this button. And yes, we have a weekly, a daily, and a monthly calendar. You can add it there as well. But if you want to do it right from your contact record, we hit the plus sign. Now, this is going to be really upsetting to a lot of you. In ACT, we have calls, meetings, and to-dos. In Zoho, we have calls, meetings, and tasks. If this is a deal breaker for you, I can rename task to do. If that really is a deal breaker, I don't think it should be, but I can certainly change it to do. Another thing that I can do when we have our input information. So I'm going to go here, do a meeting first. We have the basic information. I'll just say it's Act Zoho, and I can have my time. I can have participants if I want to add people to the meeting, so invitations go out to them. I can add more details. I can have as many reminders. You know, in Act we have a tickler, a reminder. I can have as many reminders as I want. I can have one the day before, the week before, an hour before, 10 minutes before. I could set up as many reminders as I want. The other thing is, if there's a field, these are just kind of like with Act, you know, we have a description here, and, you know, this is where you put in your basic information if you need to do it. Sometimes people want to add a field to the meetings, like they have sales meetings and marketing meetings. We could literally add fields to this. We could, you know, again, with Act, what you saw is what you get. If we need to add more fields to the meeting, we can. Not just to this meeting, but for all meetings going forth. The to-dos, a little bit different. I'm going to show you the tasks. I'll translate for you. Tasks, again, you know, we have our, what it's about. And if I turn off my capital locks, it look a little bit better. We have a due date. We can, you know, pick whatever that due date is. We have a priority. And yes, these could be changed. You can modify this list, you know, make them medium warm and medium cold, and you can assign tasks to other people, which is always fun. We could turn on reminders. We could have more fields. But the big thing about a task when we schedule them is that we can actually have a percentage of a task. So if you have a really big task, we can actually mark them off as being started, being halfway completed, waited for other information. So that is a difference. You can have tasks that have them either, you know, completed or not completed, or you can have stages for your tasks. Not a huge feature, but I've had that request. And again, if you need to group your tasks in another way, we can add more fields to the task window. Okay, let me see what else I got on my list to cover. Okay, so we talked about changing your views, putting them in. Want to show you two other things very, very quickly. They're all kind of about the same. People are asking me a lot about Outlook. So anything you do, all roads lead to this gear button. So if I hit this gear button, it takes me to the setup. If I want to change, again, people email me and they say, Karen, how do I set up Outlook? And I answer, duh, because I don't know how to set up Outlook. I know how to set up the Outlook calendar integration, the contacts integration, the email integration, the email history, the email send, but I don't know how to just set up Outlook because there's too much involved. So if you just want to set up your email, we can go up here to email. And here's where we have our email, and this is where we can set it up. And are you using the Zoho email? Do you want to set it with the CRM? Do you want to synchronize your email inbox with Zoho? So this would be the one you would use for Outlook, for sending and receiving email so that you have history. In addition, I'm going to go back to the setup. I could just go here, and it's kind of giving me all the choices, but I want to keep going back to the setup so it's more familiar to you. You also have the marketplace, and one of the items under marketplace is called Microsoft. I don't know if you know this, but Outlook is a Microsoft product. So we can hit Microsoft right here. And when we go to Microsoft, it says, oh, do you want to set up Office 365 for meetings, contacts, and tasks? Well, there you go. One of the big differences between Act and Zoho, Act was very, how do I say this, version specific. So I just had somebody yesterday, they upgraded their Act. They can't export to Excel anymore because they have an older version of Excel and it doesn't work with the newer version of Act. We don't have that. If you're exporting your contact, they don't care if you have a 20-year-old version of Excel or not. Kind of the same thing with Outlook. They don't care what version you're on. They, you get it set up. They don't really care if you upgrade your Outlook, if what or whatnot. They have one version, but they do make a distinction between Office 365 and regular Outlook. Because some of you have hosted Office 365, and some of you have Outlook on your actual machine. In fact, we didn't have that. We had one integration, and it caused a lot of problems depending on what version of Office you were using. So they've kind of changed it here. Okay, I'm going to show you my last feature. I'm going to go back to my setup. And the number one request that I get with Zoho CRM is, can I use this on my smartphone or my tablet? The number two request I have is, can I hook this up with my Office phone? So an answer to the first question, if you're on a demo, go into the Apple Play Store or go into the Google Store, look up Zoho CRM, get the app. Your credentials are the same credentials that you use for your trial. So there's no cost for it. It works. Play with it. I had one customer the other day that was very upset. They said, I have to have a desktop version. I travel. I don't always have the internet. So we did something really high tech. We put it on, he opened it up on his phone and we turned it on airplane mode. He said, Karen, my contacts are still in here. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, you can still see your contacts even when you're traveling on an airplane and you're in airplane mode. Or if you're like I am now at the top of the Rocky Mountains with horrible internet connectivity. Okay, the other feature I wanted to show you is in the marketplace. People ask me all the time, does Zoho integrate with Calendly? Does it integrate with Facebook? Does it integrate with LinkedIn? Go into the marketplace, search for what you're looking for, and I guarantee, I can't imagine that you won't find a solution. Now, telephony is your office phones. If I go over here to, I saw it the other day, telephony. I thought I saw it the other day. Am I not? Oh, there it is. Telephony, 408. That means there are 408 companies that advertise on this website that they integrate with Zoho. So if you're using Ring Central, you're using Zoho phone, you're using 8x8, guarantee there is going to be a connection that will work with it. By the way this works is if you get an incoming call, it's going to match it to one of your contact records. When you're done with the call, it records the amount of time for the call and lets you put in some more notes or whatever happened to the call. If you get an incoming call and it's from a number that you recognize the contact, but you don't recognize the customer, you can add that number to an existing contact. So maybe someone calls you on their cell phone. You can update the cell phone number automatically. It also gives you click to dial. So when you call on somebody, and again, this is just a demo, so I don't have this set up, but what happens when you call on somebody's contact record, you're going to see this little call button. When you hit call, it's going to dial out automatically. And when you're done with the call, it's going to automatically time it. You can put in your notes, and all those will show under closed activities. So when you look at the closed activities, you're going to see your closed calls over here. So you'll be seeing your closed tasks, your closed meetings, your closed calls. All right. I have come to the end of my information that I have today. Let me just check really quickly and see if anybody has any more questions. Okay, very quiet group today. Nobody asking any more questions. So with that, I'm going to stop the webinar. Should you have other questions, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to be trying to answer most of your questions in these weekly webinars. So with that, I bid you adieu. Have a great holiday season, and hopefully I'll see you in January on the next webinar. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.